Welcome to the Sacred Emergence Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Wong, and I'm so thrilled that you're here. This is a place where you'll be guided to living your most aligned life so that your truest, most radiant self can emerge. We'll be jamming on topics ranging from spirituality, entrepreneurship, to wellness and lifestyle design, and everything in between that can support you to grow, evolve, and shine, all the while not taking ourselves too seriously. So if you're ready to step into your leadership, break through limiting beliefs, own all of who you are, and expand in abundance, grab yourself your faith cup of tea and let's dive in. Well, hello. Welcome back to the Sacred Emergence Podcast. This is Michelle Wong, and I am so happy to be back. It has been a few months since the last episode. I believe it was back in early October that I gave kind of the lay of the land, sharing that I was going to take a little pause to reset, and when I felt the urge to return and restart episodes and interviews following my manifestor urge, then I was going to do that. So the manifestor urge kicked in, and here we are. We are in March of 2022 at the time of this recording, and I have so much to share. I'm so excited for the next, I don't know how to call it, next season, the next wave of episodes and content that I have for you. And so thank you for being here. Thank you for being a listener. I'm just from the bottom of my heart, thank you for following me along my journey. And it just feels so good. And I have so much to update you all on, so much. And let's do a really quick recap so that, just to kind of refresh the memory. So I spent most of 2021 traveling. I hit Mexico. I went to Bali, Indonesia. I did a 1-week trip to Istanbul. And then I decided to visit family in Canada. And after traveling for, I don't know how many months, probably like 5 months or so, and just being in airports and all of that, I was like, I feel complete with traveling for now. I remember on my last leg home, it was from Rome to Toronto. I was beat. I was really it's time to take a break. And that's when I decided to take also a break on the podcast and just reset and just give myself some rest, much needed with this manifestor here in human design. And so here we are. We're here in 2022, and there's been a refocus in my business. I am currently with family still in Canada, and my intention and plan is to head back to the US probably in springtime before summer. And I'm really just been some lessons, some realizations that I had, that if I don't get to it in this episode, I'll definitely share it in the next episode. And then I'm really excited. I've been interviewing some amazing people for this next wave of this next podcast wave. So I'm just so excited. And also, this is all during the middle of a pandemic, right? And so just returning back to our body, our embodiment, nourishing our nervous system. And, I'm pretty sure that the majority of us has a very, our nervous system has probably been, what's that word? Heightened. We probably experienced some trauma over the past 2 years. And along with that, putting ourselves first has been a huge, message that I feel really called to carry forward. And the word or the hashtag, so to speak, that has been coming to me, that I've been starting to be very vocal about, is the hashtag divine selfishness. I like to put things in hashtags. So divine selfishness has been a major, I'm leading with this, and then fueling in human design, fueling in my work with rapid relief technique, which is a different form of tapping, and a system that I use called Beliefetics that I have learned from my former business coach, Jonna Kingsford, which is all around basically repatterning our subconscious beliefs. There's so many tools in my tool belt, along with embodiment and just returning back to our breath, all the pieces, all the layers to really help guide us in being more bold, in stepping into our leadership, and making ourselves our number one priority. Because if we are not taking care of our well-being, then those around us are going to suffer and we're going to suffer. And so all of that to me is part of divine selfishness. So I'm really excited with the things that I am creating, my upcoming offers, which I'll be sharing more about, and just like tools and resources that can really support us as we go through this path called life, right? And a huge piece that has always been like pretty strong in my world is having the courage to follow our life's dream. And even if we don't know, like, oh, what is my purpose? What is my life dream? To me, the very act of exploring it, of pursuing it, of experimenting, that to me is an act of divine selfishness, because we are part of the collective. We matter. We each matter individually. And so putting ourselves in the game is something that I feel so passionate about and so strongly about, that this is just something I'm going to keep talking about. And yeah, okay. So to support all of this, I created a meditation for you to enjoy. And let me kind of share how this meditation came to be. I experienced trauma not too long ago, nothing major, but my nervous system got rattled. And you know, when we experience trauma, it doesn't have to be like a huge life-changing event, right? It could be something that really activates our fight-flight response. And for me, when I experience trauma, what I sense in my body is tunnel vision. Like suddenly everything that's happening around me gets kind of closed off and all the energy goes up into my head and I cannot concentrate, I cannot focus. My heart palpitates, like I really feel like this sensation, this wave of sensation over my heart. And it's just this like discomfort, and suddenly I'm all up in my head. My breathing is more shallow, and literally all I can think about was that thing that just happened, but in a way that is really tunnel vision, so to speak. So like even my hearing goes a little bit off, and that's a sign of trauma. And so I experienced that recently, and the first thing is like, oh my gosh, like how do I like return back to self, right? And one of the things is you got to feel it. So you got to almost like recognize that we're in a trauma response, and just breathe and just come back into the body. And funnily enough, like I experienced like micro trauma events. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so interesting. And I have to like come back to my body and almost like articulate it out loud, like, oh my God, this is how I'm feeling. And then give myself the space to actually feel it. So what I do, step one for myself is, okay, like I'm experiencing trauma. So recognizing it, calling it out. And then I'll actually tap somewhere in my body. So if you're familiar with emotional freedom technique, they're very similar tapping points, but usually I'll be tapping like the area by my collarbone, or sometimes I'll just tap on my thyroid area, just, you know, my sternum area, or I'll tap like on the outside of my eye or beneath my eye. I'll just start tapping just to bring my awareness and my attention back into the present moment. And then I'll just start breathing more deeply and just being like, okay, like starting to vocalize how do I feel in this moment, right? And like sensing that in my body. Okay, like my stomach feels tight here. I'm very uncomfortable with what just happened, and walking myself through it, right? So like continuing to feeling the sensations in my body, and maybe it's not even going into the actual emotion yet, but it's like describing the sensation of where in the body, right? I feel a knot in my stomach area, or like, you know, maybe like in my chest area, or like in the back of my heart. You know, I'm feeling like this tension and it just feels really off. And then starting to feel the emotions of like, okay, I'm feeling shame, and just bringing voice to what's happening. And just like, and almost just like soothing myself, soothing my nervous system, and just taking that time out for myself and just realizing, okay, like this is a very human response and it's okay, right? It's almost like nourishing that inner child and soothing that inner child within us. And then after that might be all that I needed, right? It depends, right? But sometimes if I feel like, okay, it's like I'm still feeling some emotions and like I feel like I felt enough, I've tapped enough, and now like I'm feeling like this urge to move my body, right? It's like I've been sitting still for quite a while. It's now time to move. So I'll literally get up and I'll either dance out how I'm feeling, like the emotions. Maybe I need to like punch a pillow or like thrash my arms and legs. And then one of my favorite forms of movement is shaking. I'll just shake my body, shake, 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 like literally shaking, and then I'll voice it out as I shake, right? And I might have shared this in past episodes, and literally being like really loudly as I shake. Obviously, you want to do it in a private space, closed doors. And yeah, sometimes it feels silly, but when you're releasing trauma, the mind, the logic doesn't really get to have a say here, right? It's like we're listening to our body. We're following the cues of our body and the messages that of what our body needs. And it is going to be more, animalistic, so to speak, because trauma response is fight flight, right? It hits our instincts. And in the wild, we have gazelles, when they've successfully escaped a lion, they're on the ground shaking, right? This is a very human or animal response to trauma, and it's the quickest way to release trauma. And then after that, it depends on how I feel. Maybe that's enough, or I might need to reach out to a trusted friend, and just tell them what happened. And all I really need is support. Like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. That really sucks. I love you. Are you okay? Like that's really, I just need a place for me to share what's happened and be witnessed, right? And then lastly, just feeling like getting back into my body, like feeling like my body has my back, like I have my back. And that's where the meditation that I created comes in. So, so often we go to meditation. And one of the things that I have learned along my journey is that when I'm in a trauma response, or if I'm feeling agitated, or, like there's a lot that's happening that is emotional or in my body, meditation might not be the first step. In fact, it's probably like the last thing to calm myself down, right? All the other things that I shared before, I recommend doing first before sitting down to meditate. Because a lot of times when we try to calm ourselves, what we're doing is we're suppressing the actual emotion that really needs to be expressed and to be processed. And if we just sit and meditate, it's not going to be as helpful. So this meditation I created is called I Am Supported Meditation, because really when I did that meditation, after doing all of the release work that I just shared, I finally felt like my cells just settle back in, and I just felt the divine support around me, and I felt the support of my own self, and then the support of Earth. So it's more of an energetic meditation, and it helped me so much that I was like, I'm going to share this with more people. So I created it, and it's for you to download for free if you desire it. Link is in my show notes, or you can go to my link in bio in Instagram. And yeah, so that is available for you. So one of the reason why I started this episode, I guess, with talking about trauma and sharing a free meditation with you is because it's so important to really nourish our nervous system and recognize signs of trauma, because when we are making ourselves a priority, when we are doing the big, bold things, when we are taking up space, when we are being seen, sharing our truth that might not be popular, right? Me talking about divine selfishness will probably strike a few nerves and have people just unfriend me and ignore me. We cannot control people's responses. We can only control our own. And the more work that we do to really ground our nervous system, to really nourish our well-being and return back to the body, the more we have the capacity and the space to do our life's work, to do the things that might not feel comfortable, right? And being okay with not being liked, being okay with, I don't know, people unfriending us, or having dealing with trolls online, all the things. And if we're not supported in our well-being, and if we're not supported in our own relationship to ourself, if we don't have a strong relationship to ourself, all the other things, it doesn't have a strong foundation, right? Because we are the most important people. Our relationship to ourself is the most important relationship we're going to have. And it needs to be strong. It needs to be nourished. And this is the next phase of my business. This is the work that I'm doing. I have so many exciting things that are coming up. I have a program that I am launching in a few days. I'm so excited for it. And it won't start officially until April. So I'm taking all of March to really talk more about it. And my intention with this launch of my new program, my new offering, is that even if people end up not joining, because it's going to be a limited number of people that I have space for, I want people to be impacted, hopefully positively, but sometimes our impact is positive in hindsight. You know what I mean? It's people can feel activated, but I feel when we're activated, I use activated instead of the word triggered. But when we are activated, it's always an invitation to look at how we can heal and, do the inner work. So that is what I have for you for today. Thank you for listening. I am so grateful and appreciative of you being in my world. And of course, if you are listening this, years, months down the road, don't hesitate to reach out if somehow the meditation is not available, you can't find the link, or if you want to just learn more about my offerings. Links are always in show notes, and you can always follow me on Instagram. I just started a TikTok account. I'm playing with it. I'm experimenting with it. So if you are also on TikTok, please connect with me there. It's michellewong.xo, as well as that on Instagram, michellewong.xo. And more to follow, to be continued, and I'm so grateful. And P.S., if you have listened to the meditation, I would love your feedback. Let me know how you felt afterwards, and I might end up creating more down the road. And so what else is there? That's it for now. If you're on my mailing list, if you're already on my mailing list, you have access to the meditation. I just sent it to everybody. So if you haven't received it, check spam, or you can probably re-sign up for it in the show note links. So in the show notes link. So anyway, I hope you're having a beautiful day, and we'll chat soon. Cheers. To help you feel more supported and nourished in your body and nervous system, you're invited to download the free I Am Supported meditation in the show notes. May you feel grounded in who you are as you become the fullest expression of yourself. Thank you for listening to the Sacred Emergence podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and thank you in advance for sharing with those who can benefit. Until next time.